My name is Joseph Lloyd and I'm an independent vehicle consultant. I find cars for people. Over the past year on my YouTube channel, I've done a series of about 25 reviews known as the Tweed Jacket reviews, where I've reviewed and assessed cars of all different shapes and sizes, old and new, expensive and cheap. I've had some feedback though from some of my viewers who obviously love the reviews but want something a little bit less expensive. And so I present to you no budget reviews, all filmed on a phone, no fancy editing, no fluid head tripods, no DSLRs, just honest cars for less than £1,000 that you can pick up on the second-hand market. So join me on an adventure around the country as we go and find these cars for less than £1,000, and we have a lot of fun doing so. Just like to say before we start, there is a lot of wind noise in this video. I do apologise for that. There's not a lot we can do. After all, this is no budget reviews and we don't have any equipment other than a phone. So yes, sorry.
So today on No Budget Reviews we have this 2002 Jaguar X-Type 2-litre V6. Now Jaguar X-Type was introduced in 2001. This is a very early example of the 2-litre V6. It was actually a Ford Duratec unit. This car generates, I think, about 170 horsepower. It certainly feels like it. It's quite fast actually. I'm surprised how fast it is. The 2-litre cars were only front-wheel drive, and this is front-wheel drive only. It doesn't seem like it feels inferior in that way. It handles nicely enough, it's a bit soft, but then I think that's what people wanted really in a car like this. I'm very grateful to Rob for the initial fees for this car. And, we paid £800 for it, and I can't believe that. The car's had a few owners, probably 3. It's only done 70,000 miles. I think for £800, it's quite a bargain, really. So I'm going to start by doing is just looking at the interior, and we'll go from there. Things I've noticed about this car straight away, and a lot of people point this out, is the amount of Ford bits that are on it. As you can see, that's a very familiar sight to anybody who had, say, a Mark III or Mark IV Fiesta in the 1990s with little chub locks. The key itself is a little bit different, though. You can see this fob is probably similar to a car that would have been sold, say, by the Lincoln Mercury division of Ford in America. It's got these panic buttons and things on it as well. If we open up the door, you can see one of the huge advantages of this car is the interior and the way it looks. I'm not necessarily saying that everything in here is the highest quality, but just look at this. It's beige leather. We've got leather on the steering wheel. No, this is the base model. It's just called the 2 litre. It's actually a 2.1, but we won't go into that too much. Conventional handbrake. Lovely Jaguar J-gate. Cassette player. Standard air conditioning. Nice and simple, no heated seats, nothing like that in this particular car. Then we've got these very clear green-backed instrument dials. Jaguar logo, of course, in green. Now there is a bit of wear on the seat, and leather's a little bit cracked in places, but this car's 18 years old. It's really not that bad. If I just get inside, you'll see that actually it looks quite nice. The dashboard materials feel quite nice. The leather's a little bit worn here, but again, this is quite an old car. One thing immediately I've just seen is the fact that I've only got 2 electric windows. So this must be the base model.
There's a real feeling of luxury about this car. I mean, we got some sort of kind of squeaks and rattles in here, but it really doesn't feel too Ford. It does feel like a Jaguar, I would say. Some people don't think so, but I don't think it's too bad. Got to remember that at this time, this car was aimed at cars like the Volvo S60, the BMW 3 Series, Mercedes C-Class, the Audi A4. And if you were to look at a low-spec one of those, I mean, sure, some of the switches in an Audi A4 would be nicer than this, but you just feel the quality of some of the other bits, and it really doesn't feel too bad. I'm not sure at all that this car is just a touched up Mondeo. So if I get into the back here, this being the base model, I've got wind down windows. Somebody in 2002 specified this car with an automatic gearbox, a leather interior, and chose the base model. There was also an SE and a Sport in the range, and as well as numerous special editions. But this one is the base model, just 2 litre V6. And this is just a weird thing to do. I don't know why someone did that. You can also tell we've got a base model because there's no armrest here. I mean, the leather's quite nice. I mean, the rear space, I'd say, is quite restricted. It's not like a Rover 75. There is really not a lot of room. Headroom's okay, but knee room is not. It's not brilliant, to be honest. If you went for an estate, I'm sure that'd be a bit better though. So, as you can see, my knees are right up against this driver's seat. There's not a lot of room in here at all. Say Rover 75 is a bit more capacious than this, although the Audi A4 at the time was a little bit small. Ashtray there, of course, no 12-volt socket. The headlining feels quite nice, actually. My head's quite close to the roof. The headlining feels very luxurious. Got some curtain airbags there, so nice and safe. Overall, I love this interior. I know this is the base model, but we've got bits of wood. We've got the wood gear knob. It's just interior colour as well. It's all very nice, and even the carpet feels nice, to be honest. Yes, lovely. Let's take a look in the boot. You can use the key to get in, or you can just press the Jaguar head logo, like so. There we are. I don't think in this car the rear seats fold. No, they don't. Got a base model after all. We might have had that in some of the higher trims, but not in this car. If I lift up this carpet here, got a space saver spare wheel that has been on the car, but that is the original tyre because it's made of a 48 week of 2001, so that's the original spare. I think a Mondeo would be a bit more practical. I mean, you know, there was a saloon and a hatchback available at the time, but it probably wouldn't have felt as well trimmed as this. This isn't a car really where you primarily want practicality. You want luxury and you want status and you want a certain look of it. I mean, look at this this chromed bit at the top here. The only thing that really compares with it will be a Rover 75, and of course they were very, very similar in terms of their market position. But this is a little bit smaller. Perhaps it's for somebody who doesn't, you know, want to have something that's too big to manage. Although I would say that I would want one of these with parking sensors. I'm not sure the rear visibility is brilliant, but that is the case for a whole load of saloons from this kind of era. So the boot release is there for some reason. Maybe it's the American market, I don't know. There's the famous Jaguar J-Gate with a sport mode. This car's got traction control. The buttons all feel very simple. The glove box, that looks big enough to me. Maybe the secret mission documents would go in there, but we don't have them because there's no budget reviews. So we just walk round to the front of the car. Now I'm going to need Rob's help here because there is a very complex procedure opening the bonnet. You've got to be very careful. And there is the V6. Only 2.1 litres, badged for 2 litre in this instance. Generating, I think it's about 170 horsepower in this car. Air conditioning as well. I recognise so many of these bits from other cars. It's just a case of
spot the shared part really. Dipstick's very easy to get to. There's the oil filler cap. Coolant reservoir is just over here. If this is how packed the engine is in the 2 litre, goodness knows what it's like in the 3 litre. Here we are, the roads of Kent in this lovely X-Type. This is the V6, basic V6 with, I think it's about 170 horsepower in this car. It feels nice and brisk. There were 2 other options as well, the 2.5, which had all-wheel drive, that had about 192 horsepower, and then there was a 3 litre, again all-wheel drive, which had about 230 horsepower. There were also a couple of diesels, and because no budget reviews, I have to tell you about them. There was a 2 litre with 130 horsepower and front-wheel drive. And then later on, about 2005, I believe, was a 2.2 litre diesel with 155 horsepower. The driving experience of an X-Type is remarkably relaxing. It feels different from a Rover 75. I don't know what exactly it is. It doesn't quite feel the same. Neither of them feel particularly like a Mondeo. They feel a lot more sort of comfy and soft and cosseting, particularly with this lovely leather interior. I love beige leather interiors, and this car delivers remarkably in that respect. So when driving along in this car, because it's a base model, I am noticing there's no cruise control. That's one thing that I would say in a car like this would be a really nice feature to have. We don't have any heated seats or anything, but I suppose that's okay. A common issue on an X-Type, and actually probably the reason why a lot of people don't even touch these cars or the cars get scrapped, is the fact that the cells rot really badly. Really badly. I mean, it's the same as on a Mondeo, because this is a Mondeo Mark III platform. And if your cells are not looking very good, they can cost anything up to £700 to repair. Bearing in mind, Rob only paid £800 for this car, it wouldn't even be worth it if that was to happen. Now, this one's gone through the MOT. Certainly there's plenty of performance from this engine, and the ride is very nice. It's not quite as soft as I was expecting, but it's still not sporty at all. I imagine if you had one of the sport versions, you get a slightly further ride because you'd have bigger wheels. The steering, it's really not geared for particularly hard driving. It's more geared towards a more relaxed visibility. The view out of the front is quite good. You can see quite a lot of the bonnet. The view out the back's, to be honest, not great. I think, as I said earlier on, I would at least invest in optional parking sensors or aftermarket ones of this car. The estate's probably a little bit better. You can get an estate version of an X-Type, famously used by Jeremy Clarkson as a ski lift in 2004. But yes, it feels completely different to the E-Type that I drove back in January on the channel. There's really no relation between these two at all. The engineering is completely different as well. But just as a inexpensive, comfortable, luxurious car, I'd say really this could be better for some people than
Rev 75, because Rev 75s, believe it or not, are getting quite expensive to have nice ones. X-Type values, though, are not climbing in the same way at all. And, you know, they probably won't until these become quite scarce. At the moment, there are plenty around, and Auto Trader and eBay are just full of these. Some of them are available with an MOT of less than £500. Now, I wouldn't recommend spending that little on X-Type. I'd recommend going up to about 800, like this car, and getting one that's got a relatively low number of owners, that's definitely not got the rot on the sills, and also has some service history. Because this is a Duratec, you're going to have to make sure that's being serviced properly. But they're not that difficult to work on for V6s. I can think of the, you know, Alfa Romeo Busso, for example, is a lot worse than this. And overall, it's a car that actually fulfills more than its purpose. This was bought as like a winter runaround when Rob's other car misbehaved a few months ago, and actually it's been superb. I like the way that this gearbox, this classic Jaguar J-gate gearbox, it just slurs all the changes really, really nicely. You don't really have to think about anything. You just feel very relaxed. I think it's a 5-speed automatic unit in this car. There was also a 5-speed manual gearbox available, and then later on a 6-speed manual gearbox. But I think the automatic would suit the character of this car. Overall, I know the image of this car for some people is a bit wrong. I know they have a bit of reputation, and I wouldn't say this is the best quality car ever made, but it's certainly better than I imagined it would be. I don't know what prejudice I had exactly before I came and drove one, but actually I really like it. So thank you for joining us on this episode of No Budget Reviews. I do hope that you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so for more of the same. Please like this video, leave a comment below. If you wish me to source a car for you, it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a Jaguar X-Type, and it doesn't need to be under £1,000. It can be a lot more than that. I have been known to do more expensive ones than that anyway. Then please get in touch with me via my website, www.lloydvehicleconsulting.co.uk. There's a contact tab on the front page of that. Also, I have a Facebook page too, facebook.com/Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. Thank you.